So in this video I'd like to show you why my expectations were higher for Mortars. So we got the bohemia over here, and I'm going to close the door and pay attention to what the left hand does during the animation. Okay, let me repeat it. Notice how the left hand is correctly motion captured onto the geometry of the car, which means they put an effort into getting the animation to fit the vehicle instead of just going for some standard animation and reusing it. Okay, let's close it again. So the left hand with the open palm pushes against it, which means they mocapped it particularly for the bohemia. And that's great, okay? And now let's look at the compass. So the compass has this nice wobble when you move it around. So it's physically, it's procedurally physically animated within the its mount in the compass casing. Now here's a screenshot from the PlayStation 5 trailer. And the problem here is that the developers sort of trick players, or especially PlayStation players who are new to the game, that the compass is actually a gameplay feature that matters in the game. But if you play Reforger on the standard game mode, the compass really doesn't matter because the developers added so many helper systems that you never really can experience the gameplay of getting disoriented and having to orient yourself, because you have squad markers and you have a message in the corner of the map screen telling you where you are approximately. And the next problem is, which created my expectations, was this interview with Mortar.
So will there be manual use of artillery pieces or magic point and fire buttons like Arma 3?
Thanks for this question. You ask the person who's behind all the cruel design decisions, like not showing players' position on the map, forcing players to navigate using compass, not showing amount of rounds in your magazine, etc. So guess which direction I'm gonna take. But I can assure you, I'm looking forward to artillery myself, and it will be definitely very interesting to play with it.
Okay, now that sounded great when I read it. I was like super excited because I looked at the animations and the animation quality for the different vehicles they added. Then I assumed that Mortar, especially Mortar aiming gameplay, would have some type of physical 3D interaction. However, let's focus on what he said. Okay, so did any of those design decisions remain in the game after he said it? And all of them got washed out by some design decision, which means the compass, you don't need it in multiplayer because the game tells you where you are on the map, indirectly by squad markers and by the message on the screen. Not sure if it does it on the editor. Yes, it even does it in the editor. And ammo counter not showing on the screen. Well, the ammo counter is shown on the screen, as you can see in the bottom right of the screen. Which means something happened in the development team where they went from really good design decisions to completely plastering the user interface with information that washes out gameplay. Then I was saw video recommendations, and then I noticed that for Arma 3 there are actually mods that have realistic mortars and aiming of mortars, or artillery pieces. Now in this video you can see a Soviet, you see the lettering, aiming device which is on a tripod. I think it's called an aiming circle. And notice the dials even move. See that? As moved around, the different dials move. And I never knew a mod like that existed, but that's what I have imagined for Mortar artillery piece aiming in Reforger, based on what Ivan said and based on how the compass is animated. And unfortunately, it appears the developers are going to go for an extremely primitive solution, which is a 2D scope through aim through, and all the aiming information being in the UI. Because some players in the previous video said that, I think some of the comments were about that it's going to be, they're going to add the animations later, as if, because some people think that gameplay is this thing that's magically floating in the room that is always there, and animation is just a support thing to the gameplay. But it's not the case. The animations, they make for the most part the gameplay in a video game, if it's a 3D game, or even a 2D game especially. Because if you don't have animations, you just have user interface and screen effects. And it never happens in video game development that a developer first develops quote-unquote amazing gameplay and then adds animations later. If the animations suck in a game at the beginning, they usually never get better. And here's a problem it won't magically get better for Arma 4 unless people start complaining about it right now in Reforger. Because what's currently happening is the developers, I think, they're testing how much animation quality they can avoid, because it's expensive and it takes really good animators to get it done, and animation programmers. And they're not testing how low they can go with the animation quality or how much they can leave out. And that's going to be the standard for Arma 4. And if this remains the standard here, then you can imagine when Arma 4 comes out, every artillery piece, every mortar, every type of cruise-served weapon will end up just being a 2D aiming screen with some user interface that a programmer can code in probably 5 minutes. The reason I'm making this video is to get players to ask for more fidelity in mortar or artillery aiming gameplay. Because Arma 4 or Reforger, it's in a unique position as a video game because it can simulate to a high degree that, imagine if a video game or military video game has a range from 0 to 10 in terms of scale of conflict, which, let's say 0 and 1 being infantry combat, 0 and 2 being infantry combat and mortars and machine guns, and let's say 0 and 10 being bomber planes. And Reforger is in a unique position to be a 0 to 2 video game and put as much detail as it can into that. So this could be the first high-quality FPS game that would simulate cruise-served weapons to a high degree of animation quality. And that's the opportunity they have right now here. And I think they set them up for that, and they set up the expectations for that with Reforger. Because if you look at the car driving animations, actually, let me show you that. Okay, I'm here in the editor, and this is a shotgun car. Let's get in the car. Okay, now let's pay close attention to what the left and right hand are doing in the car. Okay, let's restart the engine. Okay. See what the left hand is doing as I'm rotating the steering wheel. You see that? They have different animation blending poses, or they blend between them based on where the hand is. See how detailed it is? And I think it's even custom for each steering wheel on each car. Okay, so you see how the fingers interlace on the left hand at the end of it. See that? Which means they put an amazing amount of animation quality into that stuff in 2023. And I'm asking, why are they not doing that for mortar and artillery pieces? Because imagine if they would put that type of animation quality into fumbling with dials on mortars.